Hey everyone, Cahlen here, and while living outside, lighting fires is a common thing that you need to do. I like to use a ferro rod because it doesn't run out of fuel, and I've never heard of anyone ever burning through their entire ferro rod. A ferro rod is like a little bar made up of different types of compounds like metals and magnesium and things like that, which you can scrape off and will start a little fire just from a spark. But you need to have tinder which will light and then off of that spark, and then will ideally continue to burn for a period of time before it extinguishes itself, so that it gives you time to get the bigger pieces of wood or whatever you're burning to actually get going on their own. So basically I've been using cotton balls soaked in Vaseline for a couple of years now, and it works really well. But my friend Chris Carlson, who has a channel on Odyssey at Chris C, and he basically was showing me how he does that with just coconut oil, which I like better because I don't really, coconut oil is more natural. I have coconut oil around me all the time, and the only reason I ever have Vaseline with me is to make these cotton balls. So basically I'm going to try making it with the coconut oil today, and I know that works because I've seen him do it, but I also want to do a little bit of experiment and get it working with some beeswax. So this is some beeswax. That will actually cause it, ideally, theoretically, to burn even longer, and it will also help the coconut oil stay solid when it's in the cotton ball at warmer temperatures, because I carry my tinder around on my belt in a little pouch, and sometimes that's during hot days, and if it's coconut oil by itself, depending on how soaked the cotton ball is, that may leak out a little bit, which may be a problem. So anyways, here's the cotton balls. These are, I'm also experimenting with something different here. These are actually dental cotton rolls. So I'm not going to, I don't have to unwrap them and like I did in the other videos. Basically, I'm just going to throw them in as they are and store them as they are after I've poured them, soaked them with the oil mixture. So then there's the coconut oil. This is just a little thing of coconut oil that I have that I pulled from the top of the coconut butter that I bought. And of course the beeswax, and this comes in little pellets. I think I'm going to go for a 50-50 mixture. I think that might be a little too strong, so it might be hard to light this thing. That's basically what the experiment is. Like, how will I still be able to light this thing with a spark? So it's kind of a balance. You want something that will burn a long time, but when you go down that road, it becomes harder to actually light that thing. So basically I'm going for a combination here. And I think that the fact that these are all rolled up and they'll probably soak not all the way to the center means that I'll be able to break them off into little pieces, open them up until it hits the center where it won't be as soaked, and that will be the spot that will ignite with the spark. But anyways, we'll see. It's all an experiment. And also I'm adding pine essential oil. So there's a couple of reasons for this. The main reason that made me think of it was, well, if I've got beeswax and coconut oil, then it probably smells really good to bears. And so if I'm walking around with something that smells good to bears on my belt all the time, it might not be a good idea. And I found that bears do not like the smell of pine, apparently. I mean, I did find actually a couple of research articles about it, so hopefully they don't like the smell of pine essential oil, because there wasn't really a specific test about that. But I'm going to be adding that to this. And another reason I'm doing this is because I like the idea of having kind of a distinctive smell to me. Some people wear cologne and stuff like that. But I like how you meet certain people and they kind of have their own distinctive smell. And some of them it's nice, some of it's not always nice. But anyways, I want to try out the Cahlen has a slightly faint smell of pine, which is, I think, a cool thing to smell like. So anyways, that's going to get thrown into the mixture as well. This also will probably make it a little bit more volatile and easy to light with a spark. So anyways, let's see how this goes. Okay, so this is just my little silicone baking bowl that came with my little solar oven, and I'm going to fill it. I think I'm just going to do a small batch here because, again, it is an experiment. About 3 spoonfuls of coconut oil, and then about 3 spoonfuls of beeswax pellets. And then we're gonna go heavy smell on this experiment. So we're gonna do 3 squirts. This is a lot. It's probably too much of the pine oil. Okay, I'm gonna use the solar oven to melt it. Put that in there. Close the lid and leave it for probably half an hour to an hour. It won't need to get too hot to melt. You can see it's all melted now. I'll start throwing in some cotton balls. Oh, it's wrapped. Looks like I'm going to use like half of this. I guess I actually made a lot more than I thought I did. I'll just leave them there to solidify. Okay, so this is the end result. It's a little column pillar of cotton oil and wax. And basically it's really hard. I mean, I can push it hard enough that it will collapse, but I have to push pretty hard. And anyways, I'm going to basically break off a little piece here like this. And then you can see in the middle there's some threads which haven't really been as soaked as the outside. So I'm gonna break it apart, kind of like this. And now I'm gonna use my ferro rod here and the striker to try and see if I can get it lit. There it goes. So that worked pretty good, burned for a good long while. Smells real nice, and I think I'm gonna go for the bonus here. I'm gonna see if it's waterproof. So I'm gonna actually submerge one of these in water and then light it right afterwards. Okay, we gotta do this all in one shot to make sure that you believe me. Okay, so here it is, right in the water. Okay, shake it off. Take some little piece off here, break it apart like before, put it on the stove. Might need to break it off apart a little bit more, but let's give it a shot. You can do it. Getting lots of good sparks, but they're all missing it. Okay, I'm going to break it apart a little bit more. Okay, let's try again. There it goes. Oh, no, is it? Almost? Oh, it wanted to. Yeah, there it goes. Waterproof Tinder. So that's a really nice result. I wasn't actually expecting it to be waterproof in the end, and that's a nice benefit because it does sit on my belt pouch. And depending on the weather, my belt pouch might get exposed to the rain, and I don't want it to ruin my tinder. So basically the tinder will stay nice and safe. I think that once I've broken one apart, so here's the one I just broke apart. Now that the inside is exposed, this is probably more permeable to water. It's probably more protected on the outside here. So I'd probably have to be careful with, or at least consider the pieces that had already been broken. If they get exposed to the water, they may not be usable, but I'll have a whole pouch full of these things that haven't been touched yet, which will still be able to light. So that's really awesome. So basically I think I'm going to officially upgrade from Vaseline and cotton balls to coconut oil and beeswax and a little bit of pine oil as my tinder. And the only question left remain is when it gets really, really, really cold, will this still light? But I won't know that for probably a couple months at this point. So we'll just have to wait and find out. So anyways, hope that's useful. Hope it was interesting, and I'll see you guys later.
Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please consider sharing it. If you'd like to help me out in a more substantial way, you can learn how to do so at cahlen.org/gift. And if you'd like to have a one-on-one conversation with me, whether publicly or privately, you can learn how to do so at cahlen.org/one-on-one. Thanks again for watching.